Lab number 251. In this lab, we're finishing our small lab series on how to move hybrid wallet application that was built using mobile first platform version 7.1 to version 8.0 beta. And in this lab, we'll focus on implementing push notification. So the push API was changed a bit, and we will need to apply those changes to our code. But we will start with Google API console and getting our project ID and getting also the API key. So let's open the browser and search for Google API console. So nowadays it is a part of developer console from Google. So you will need to enter your credentials here. So once you're logged in, you should be able to see your previous project from 7.1 lab series. So if you don't have it, just create a new project. So the idea is that you should have something like project ID and project number available for you, because this is what we will use. And after you will have it, we can go to API management tool, and from there to Google Cloud Messaging, and actually enable Cloud Messaging API. And after enabling, we should create a server key. So let's wait until it will be enabled. So now, as you can see, it is enabled, so we need to create a key. So the way how to work with it is we can go directly to creation of API key and select here the server key. This is what we need to create. The name can be any, actually. The limitations for IP can be set to empty. So, I mean, you can specify the IP address from which this API key can be used, but in our case, let's just keep it as is. So this is our key. So actually what we need to do with it is to copy this one, go to our mobile first platform console. Let's refresh it, probably I will get timeout. Yeah, so we will need to go to our application, Hybrid Wallet Cordova, and then inside push settings. And from here, we will need to configure push settings. So there is a separate configuration for Apple and Google. So now we're interested in a Google platform. So what we need to fill here is this key that we just copied. And the second thing is the project information. So for that, you can either trigger the project information from menu or go to the home page, and this project number is actually what you need to copy. So from the home page, you can also get that number right here. So this is the project number we are interested in. So let's go back to our console. And that project number should be filled inside the sender ID. And afterwards, you can click Save. So this is how it configured for delivering push through Google Cloud Messaging. One more thing that we need to do here is to define a tag. So now we can actually specify any kind of tags that will be used to deliver push. So let's create a custom one, for example, something like wallet. So anyway, anyone who will subscribe for tag wallet will receive notification that will be sent to this tag. You can also use the tag, the default one, to notify everyone, but this is more specific, so we can define any tags. From the API on the client side, we can actually get a list of tags, what are there, and you can subscribe to different tags, and then dynamically send notifications to users subscribed to that particular tag. But in general, that's all that we need to configure on the server side. So next step for us is to go back to our client side. So if you remember, in 7.1, our push was configured after we initially got the cards list. So we had a function called load cards, and after we were receiving the result from a backend, we were triggering also push events. So first of all, we were checking if the push is supported. and afterwards, if the push was supported, we were actually registering the event source callback. So event source push mechanism is not available anymore, so we are replacing this with tags. But on that moment, we were saying that there is an adapter where there was a defined push event source, and we subscribing for it. And we will need to rewrite that because the API, as I said, was changed. So first of all, I recommend to split it and put inside a separate function. So I will remove all that code and well, let's call it something like scope init push, and then define it somewhere underneath. So now you have two options. Option one, to follow what I'm doing. Option two, to actually go to lab 251 files on Dropbox or on the description for this lab and take the snippet one, and from that just copy this init push function and also push notification received function. Or, as I said, follow what I will be doing next. So basically everything starts with initialization. So we need to use the new API and type here MFP push. This is the way how to access it, and then initialize. So this is the way how we will initialize the push itself. So inside we can have two options. So option one will be in case of success. Let's have something like success response. And of course option two can be also a failure. So I will copy and put the failure here, failure response. So in case of failure, let's right away put something like console log, and then just for easiness to debug, something like push failed to init. This will be enough. And of course, in case of success, we can also set that push init success. So next thing that we can do is to register callback that will be calling some kind of function when we will receive notification inside the app. Because as you remember, in previous lab series for 7.1, I was showing only how to receive notification when the app is closed. Here let's do also some kind of alert if notification is received when the app is opened. So for that, it should look like this MFP push, and then register notifications callback. So let's have a function something like push notification received. And of course, we will need to define this one. So let's do it under init push. So as an input, we will have this push notification message got inside. It will be a JSON. So let's just simply put everything that we got on the screen. It won't be just the message, it will be actually the JSON format, the object that we received in JSON format. So for displaying everything that we got, let's make it string. So we will see the whole message, and it will be displayed on the screen just as an alert. So after we registered notification callback, the next thing that we will need to do is actually register device. So this is our next step. It doesn't mean that we will register for a specific tag. It's just the device registration that this device will be in the system and we will be able to work with it. So API is looking like register device. And again, inside we have two options. First one will be a successful response, and the second one also can be a failure response. Let's also add the login inside. Something like this. And here, after device registration, in case of success of this operation, we can actually define a tag and subscribe to that tag. So the way how we are doing that is pretty simple. Let's have a variable, something like tag, and let's define a tag there in this format. So the tag name, as you remember, we called it wallet. And now, after defining the tag, we can actually use API once again to subscribe. So here we need to provide actually as an input a tag that we will try to subscribe to. We can provide several tags, by the way, here. So this variable can actually have not only wallet but several tags inside, but it doesn't matter for now. And then actually we can have some kind of callbacks in case of success and failure. So something like this. So let's have again some login, something like subscribed for push, and in second option failed to subscribe. Of course, we can use all those things like success response messages and success and error messages here to log them and try to debug, but we don't need it on this moment. It will work as is. So what we can do is actually save this file, then navigate back to our command line interface, and firstly do a Cordova prepare inside the hybrid wallet Cordova application. Then we can do a Cordova build to build this app with the latest changes that we just did with it. And the final thing after the build will happen, we will be able to actually launch this app on our device and see how it will work. So the way how we will be sending push for now is from operations console. It has that ability, but you can also use actually almost any solution because that is available through REST API, so you are able to send your push messages through REST API. So actually let's do a Cordova emulate Android to run our application. So here we go, we have our application with us. So we can see that our app is unfortunately not working. Let's check a code. Yeah, I forgot to remove the comma here after push failed to init. I need to save this file and redeploy that. Before we're doing that, let's also configure one more thing about the security of hybrid wallet Cordova. So remember, in the previous lab, we were defining the scope elements called simple check. So we need to do the similar thing for related to push. So the name should be push mobile client. This is the scope that push notification will use by default, and it can be later assigned to some security check. Now in beta release and in this particular lab, we won't have any assigning to any security check, so it will be just scope element assigned to nothing. So it won't have any check, but it will exist, so we'll be able to send push. And let's actually do once again Cordova prepare, and then builds, and then emulate. So our application is starting. Let's give it one more second. Yep, so we are seeing the list of cards. Let's log in. You need to remember that we need to put the same values for username and the password. Yep, we got inside. So let's try to send push. So actually, I will make a browser window a bit smaller, so we will see both the emulator and the console. And from here, we will go to push and then try to send notification to devices by tag. As remember, the tag is wallet, and notification text like test message. So because we defined the callback for notification received within the app, we should get an alert with all the text in JSON format, but displayed as a string. Yeah, so we got this alert. This is actually the way how we accessing it, the message and everything. So we can click OK here, and let's also try to close our application and to deliver a push message while the app is closed. So I will enter one more text, and this will be sent to wallet tag. And as you can see, we received the push notification right here. So this is basically all that we will pass in this small lab series. On this step, we're finishing it. Thank you for staying with us. You can also pass the second lab series for developing application based on Ionic 2 and based on mobile first platform 8.0 beta, and check it on the lab sections on Developer Center. Thank you.